Deep breath. Hi, everyone. Thank you for inviting us here to speak and get loud about mental health. The best place to begin my journey is by telling you a bit about myself. I'm a mother to 3 wonderful grown children, a grandmother, a wife. I'm extremely proud and grateful for this bunch. Professionally, I've been an artist for the past 20 years. I also work at West 5th, creating murals of hope with and for patients. And now I've become a certified peer support worker for mental health. I have a full and wonderful life, and most days I have a smile on my face. I am 42, an age I never thought I'd reach. Because on November 15th, 2009, this was the day I decided I no longer wanted to live. I had been strong for so long, and I was defeated. Now in the movies, I saw breakdowns as these big showbox events, so I was in shock when it came to mine. Because mine wasn't in screaming or in hysterics, or doing something movie-worthy. I was breaking down in silence, with shaking hands, chopping ingredients for dinner, trying my hardest not to hurt myself in front of my children. While dinner cooked, I painfully watched the minutes of the clock, pacing back and forth to the window, waiting for Miguel to arrive home. When the lights of his car pulled into the driveway, I was relieved. He came in, I kissed him on the cheek, and like usual, he hugged the kids and we sat down to eat. Dinner as a family was always important. It was a place we all talked about our day. We had worked hard to build this solid family and life, and I felt like I was tearing it apart. When everyone finished, I hung my head and cried. I didn't want to leave them, but couldn't hold on with the thoughts that cycled throughout my mind. Every waking moment, I was consumed with a mixture of sadness and complete emptiness. I was just so tired of trying and tired of watching my family walk on eggshells. In my mind, I made up this perfect scenario. They would be happier if I were gone. Miguel could go on and find a stable wife, and my children would have a better mother than I could ever be. I had a plan. I was ready. This dinner was my goodbye. The next day, my depression, the chaos, and I would no longer exist. So while I was resolved with the idea my life had come to its end, Miguel asked the kids to leave the table. He pulled up a chair facing me, held my hands, and calmly and in control asked me what was going on. I kept shaking my head no, because how was I to tell him I wanted to leave this great life we built together? How was I to tell him the horrific things that cycled through my mind? But he persisted, and I told him everything, and that I had finalized the plan to end my life. And this is the most important message I will tell you today. One person can make a difference. I wouldn't be here to experience any of my life now if I hadn't spoken up and one person hadn't have listened. I would have been another statistic and memory. No one chooses to think the thoughts I had. No one wants to be depressed or anxious and suffer alone. They feel they have no choice. That one person, Miguel, gave me a choice to live. So on that night, concerned for my safety, he saw no other option but to admit me to the psychiatric unit at Charlton Hospital. Locked away from my family, I was terrified, angry, confused, depressed, but I was safe from acting on my plan. Mental illness comes in so many different forms, some genetic, some situational, some a combination of both. They can happen to anyone at any time. An event could trigger it, or like myself, I've been chipped away by untreated illness since I was young. At 33, I was diagnosed at the hospital with bipolar disorder 1 and obsessive compulsive disorder. So how did I manage for so long, you may wonder? Well, the hypomanic highs I thought I was having were happiness, and the lows I thought, well, everybody just gets sad. And the obsessiveness I believed as just a nuisance in my brain, kind of like a song you can't get out. But nothing serious. But months previous to my breakdown, I was sleeping little, barely eating, and working nonstop. Mania had gone to its highest it ever had, igniting an uncontrollable fire of chaos in my life and that of my family's. And what goes up that high will come down to the lowest of lows. And now the obsessiveness I believed was nothing was now fueling my suicidal thoughts. So by that November, the manic fire dwindled, leaving ruins of destruction in every aspect of my life and the life of my family. These pictures were taken by Miguel just months apart during my worst mania and depression. The depression picture was taken right after my 17-day stay at Charlton Hospital. They stabilized me, but as you can see, I was certainly not healthy. The depression was still chronic, so from there they referred me to West Fifth for a more extensive treatment. A bipolar 1 OCD mess is how I define myself for the next 5 years, cycling from inpatient to outpatient. This is how I saw myself. On my arm, I drew my psychiatric number because I didn't feel like a person anymore. It's ironic that during this time, I won an award for this piece, so everyone besides my family and care team believed because I went to accept that award, I was at my best, when in reality, I was still suffering. I couldn't seem to get out of it. I faked smiles and happiness, and the depression felt like running up a muddy hill during a rainstorm. I was in constant panic mode as pills and treatment kept failing. My children, who were younger at the time, spent months without their mother. Miguel was working, visiting me, and with no outside support, he had to be both parents. Losses kept piling up, including financial. I wanted to be better, but instead of focusing on the fundamental tools to get myself there, I kept trying to fast forward healing, skipping steps, trying to get back to work so I could help my family. But nothing can be firmly built on a weak foundation. So during my last hospitalization, I realized helping my family meant I had to get better. I started making achievable goals, showering regularly, putting on makeup, going for walks, setting my alarm so I wouldn't sleep all day, created art to heal, and I held myself accountable for my life and actions. To my amazement, after 5+ years of chaos, the medication began to work for the obsessive compulsive, and the 16 electroshock therapy sessions brought me out of my depression. When I got home, I made one more huge change. I stopped defining myself by my illness. Stopped thinking I was weak, but how incredibly strong I was for admitting I needed help, which I can honestly say was the first brick to the foundation of my wellness. From there, I continued to build on my wellness with tools of recovery so I could have a life worth living. My wellness and recovery tools were and continue to be taking my medication, talking to wellness advocates and psychiatrists, exercise, eating healthy, spending time with family, being accountable for my wellness, creating art and writing, but also accepting my limitations, such as I had a strict medication time, sleep routine, and had to say no to people and events that hindered my recovery. After I built the fundamentals and my life was heading in a good direction, then I began to expand on my wellness. Now I'm in a place of ongoing recovery. I learned a valuable lesson in peer support training. Recovery is an ongoing process that I need to continue for life because every day isn't going to be perfect. So now when I face hard days or situations that could hinder my mental wellness, I know I have the tools to manage my health in place. Along the way, I wrote and painted my journey so I wouldn't forget what I had been through. I want to share an act of kindness I received. During my first hospital stay, I really thought, this is it, my life's over. One morning, an elderly man came and sat across from me at breakfast. He said, I noticed your husband comes every day, and I've seen your children come and try to make you happy. I said nothing. I was weak, dropping to 90 pounds. I was tired of talking, and that was the furthest from my mind. But he continued, I lost my wife. That's why I'm here, he said with a teary smile. He pushed my tray close to me and said, please eat so you can go back to your family. This man who didn't know me showed me kindness every breakfast. Along with him, I had several moments of kindness from other patients, doctors, nurses, but especially my family, who refused to give up. There were also people that disappeared from my life. Funny how depression and sickness works like that. As well as negativity from people thinking I was choosing to be ill. Instead of ruminating on all the ones who didn't believe in me, I focused on all the kindness, because that is what fostered my growth. Now I can pass that on while creating a life of meaning and fortitude. Now, all through this long journey from chaos to wellness, I had the support from my much better half. This is us before I went into electroconvulsive therapy. Miguel decided, perfect time for a selfie to post on Facebook. Thanks, Miguel. He witnessed, endured every step of this battle with me as my caregiver. And like illness does, it's consuming, and it consumed him as well. He was there daily visiting during every hospital admission. He was there when I got home to give me hope I couldn't find within. He said no to invites to friends, events. He didn't sleep well because he was worrying how to get me to a place of betterment. All this took a toll, and he was lacking the means to look after himself. And I want to show you what happened because of this. He slammed head-on to the back of a truck which was stopped at a light. His mind was distracted because he was coming back from visiting me after a 12-hour-long shift. Along with the totaled car, he had an imprint of the seatbelt bruised across him, 3 broken ribs, and his glasses broke when the airbag deployed. I'm told he sat on the curb that night, worrying what would have happened if he had died, who would have looked after me and our family. This accident could have happened anywhere, at work or at home. Distraction injuries can easily happen, and they can change your life and those around you. Caregiver distraction and burnout can easily lead to the suffering of your own mental and physical well-being. So today, I want you to know you're just as important as the person you're taking care of. Caregivers are often overlooked and overworked. I think of them as the unsung heroes behind the scenes. So I'm thrilled Miguel gets to tell his side today, which I haven't heard. I cannot even begin to imagine the strength it took to come here to work every day, but he did to look after our family. During my last day, I would sit in this ArcelorMittal Dofasco section. Sitting here meant more than a comfy place to sit and have coffee. It meant Miguel was coming from work to see me. It meant because of his benefits, I would have the right medication covered and one less financial burden. But most of all, it meant my husband worked and still does in a place that values the importance of mental health and recovery. Some of you may know Miguel. He is very committed to finishing tasks here at work, so you can only imagine the task of helping his wife and the mother of his children get better. Like with work, he always told me a problem can't be solved by patching or leaving it and wishing it away. This man here went through this journey with me until it was running smoothly and could see a positive outcome. He made me see the vibrancy in life, which transferred to all aspects. He helped me see hope in myself and others. Today, I want you to look around the room. One or more of you might be struggling. One at some point might become unwell. And one might be a caregiver or become one. As I said before, it only took one person, care and kindness, to help me, and here you have a team of help. Suffering is done alone. Healing is accomplished through a team. So pick your team, your tools, the ones best for the job of your own wellness. Don't think a diagnosis as a failure, a weakness, but a starting point. Because in reality, how do we fix something if we don't know what the problem is? So today, with all the hope and kindness I was given, I pass it on, so you may find the strength in any hardships you may face. We all know the saying, there are two sides to a story, so please welcome my amazing better half, Miguel, and his journey. Thank you.
So how do I follow up on that? I still go into a lovesick gaze every time I listen to her speaking and talking. I mean, anyway, I'm so proud of you. And this is kind of overwhelming for me right now, so I'm catching my breath as well. So I met this wonderful human being 24 years ago and never looked back. I planned her whole life out the moment I saw her. She was 18, funny, spicy, and as the kids say nowadays, she was a rocket. And she still is. Let me get my presentation going. She's got me all flustered now. All right, so like every new relationship, we spent most of our time learning each other's likes, dislikes, and naturally we shared a lot of disagreements. Over the years, we struggled to understand the incredible mood swings April would have. One day she would be painting the inside of the house, laughing, full of energy, and another day she would be lying on the couch crying. Well, what's wrong with painting the house? It's cheap labor, right? But when those same walls are painted 5 times with different colors within a week, there's something wrong. But the paint was on special, she would yell at me. She would say with excitement like a child on a Christmas morning. But in reality, she couldn't help herself. Her OCD gave her no choice but to buy all the paint, and her bipolar illness gave her the strength and the power to do unnatural amounts of work. I remember coming home one day after work and I could hear April downstairs, music playing, and I can hear her singing. And she was painting the washroom. Again, nothing unusual painting the washroom, but the walls were painted as if it were the inside of an aquarium. So you're in the washroom, it's a fish tank. The difference was that she had used automotive touch-up paint, because that was what was on special at Canadian Tire. It took 2 weeks for that smell to get out of the house. Again, she tells me it was on special. So, I mean, you have to weigh your options. What do? Do you get upset? Do you just let it go? So that's what we did. We just rolled with a lot of the punches. Another day I came home, and she hasn't heard this speech yet, so she's wondering what I'm going to rat her out about. So again, I came home another day, and I found $400 worth of coat hangers in the living room. So nowadays, $400 of anything isn't that much, but back in the day of Byway, $400 was a lot of coat hangers. Again, she needed to buy them, and every single piece of, and I'm laughing about these things now because it's in the past, and we went through a lot of stuff. So at that time, it was stressful, but we do sit back and see that journey as, and we're grateful for where we are now. So at that point, she needed to hang up everything. We laugh about it now, but you can imagine grabbing your socks and underwear off coat hangers. It was a little odd. Now the other extreme was heartbreaking to deal with. Crying on the couch, which, you know, everybody needs a good cry every once in a while. I know I have. I mean, listening to Meatloaf or an Air Supply song, don't judge me. But when those tears last for a week, and I physically had to lift her up and take her into the shower or feed her, it became quite a struggle for both of us. At times, her mood would swing over to uncontrollable rage and paranoia, and this 5'2" beautiful young lady here would turn into a monster. I know you're going to say 5'3". I know, it's like on every time. Her license, he's convinced is 5'3". So many times in the process of keeping her safe, I was struck with everything between dishes and a baby car seat was one of the things there. And again, we're laughing about it now, but at the time it was pretty stressful. So for years we had plastic forks, knives, dishes, paper plates. It was cheaper and a lot safer for me. So one of the challenges we had is over the years, several friends, colleagues, and family that were familiar with our struggles would just say, you should leave, cut bait and run. Right? It was tough and upsetting to hear, but honestly, what else could someone from the outside looking in think, especially with the little understanding we had back in the day about mental health? So I would usually answer, would you abandon your partner if she had cancer? Or if your buddy had a broken leg and you asked him why he didn't come out to play, shoot some hoops with the boys? I mean, thankfully everything's a little bit, there's a lot more understanding now, and that events like this help bring things to the forefront. So at the beginning, I took her to several different hospitals for panic attacks and left her fighting for air. We were hoping for answers, a quick fix. At this point, April was fully aware of her behaviors and that something was wrong. Unfortunately, because of our age, we were pretty young back then, my lack of understanding, no family support, and the gray area dealing with mental health issues, we did not receive a lot of help that we desperately needed. So as April explained, everything came to a head in 2009, and that's when we began our long journey towards wellness. Fast forwarding to now, things have been very stable at home. April's professional career has taken off, and it's given us the opportunity to shed some light on this topic and give back what many have given back to us. So this year I was given the privilege of leading our Coke-making health and safety days. With the support of a fantastic team, leadership, and presenters, our event was a success. We decided to focus on our discussions around health and safety and how it dealt with health and wellness. Our opening speaker, Archie Gilmore, which many of you know, spoke about his terrible accident and shared his heart-wrenching story about his ongoing recovery. There was not one dry eye in the audience that day. April and our wellness group presented and provided support references packages in the form of wellness tool belts filled with information and contacts. The day was received very well and generated a lot of discussion during and after the event. This was the first time I felt I was making a difference outside of my family bubble. It felt incredible and satisfying. Again, a lot of people, and we refer to it as well, as that we were lucky. So getting to this point in our lives was not easy, and it wasn't luck. We had to work very hard and make many sacrifices along the way. April suffered, the children suffered, and as much as I tried to not show it, I suffered. The unfortunate reality is many of us must juggle work, family, and struggles that come with being a caregiver. So caregiver stress. It's important to educate yourself not only on how to support the person you care for, but also yourself. Like April mentioned, many of the rules followed by the person dealing with mental health struggles need to be followed by the caregiver as well. So what is caregiver burnout? So the definition, caregiver burnout is a state of emotional, mental, and physical exhaustion caused by prolonged and overwhelming stress of caregiving. A lot of words there. Here are some of the stories that have stuck with me as far as talking to people what I believe defines burnout. Getting into the car with your keys in your hand and not knowing what to do next. You know, you just sit there with a blank, not knowing how the car works. Putting food in the microwave and waiting for it to heat up without pushing any of the buttons. Not remembering how you got from point A to point B. As you can imagine, burnout can be extremely dangerous. Me slamming into the back of a car that was fully stopped could have ended it terribly for my family and I, or someone else's family. So signs of caregiver burnout. Again, these are similar to the signs of someone suffering from mental health issues. Anxiety, depression, irritability, feeling tired and run down, difficulty sleeping, overreacting to minor issues, new or worsening health problems, trouble concentrating, feeling increasingly resentful, drinking, smoking, or eating more, neglecting responsibilities, cutting back on leisure activities. And again, I tell everybody, and April says the same thing, if you're experiencing any of these symptoms, please talk to someone before it becomes an issue that puts you or the person you're taking care of at risk. We have our own health and wellness team. They're here to listen and give you advice, including our EAP with Homewood. And also, April and I are always available to talk. So, techniques that helped me over the years, and I wish I had these at the beginning, was practice acceptance. Try to avoid the emotional trap of feeling sorry for yourself or searching for someone to blame. Several times over the year, I've reacted and responded to April with stupid and ignorant comebacks, just out of frustration and anger to things she had said or done, forgetting that it was out of her control. And she knows I've been sorry for the dumb things that have come out of my mouth. Look for the silver lining. Think about ways caregiving has made you stronger, or how it's brought you closer to the person that you're taking care of. This one's tough, but rewarding. Our commitment to one another over the years has just strengthened. Don't let caregiving take over your life. Invest in things that give you meaning and purpose, whether it's your family, church, a favorite hobby, or your career. Take care of yourself. It's not selfish, it's a must. Focus on things you can control. Rather than stressing out over the little things that you can't control, focus on how you choose to react to problems. Control your temper, provide a calm environment, and most importantly, remove all the negative people in your life, which we managed to do over 24 years. There's a lot of housekeeping. It just doesn't make any sense. Some of the reactions that we get in, it didn't make any sense to keep them in our lives. It's unfortunate, but that's the reality. And the favorite technique of all that I have is celebrating the small victories. A supper without tears or smashing of plates, a bike ride that doesn't end in a panic attack, sharing a tub of ice cream while watching Moulin Rouge. Again, don't judge me. And remember, you don't have to cure your loved one's illness to make a difference. Don't underestimate the importance of making your loved one feel more safe, comfortable, and loved. That's it, guys. That's all I have. All right.